What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Knowledge Kicking Knowledge. Today is episode 8 of Mercury through Signs, and we'll be talking about Mercury and Scorpio. So what's Mercury? Mercury is our analytical intelligence, how we read, how we write, how we memorize things, our overall intellect. Mercury is our communication style. How do we interact with others? How do the words sound coming out of our mouths? Mercury is our interests, our hobbies, more specifically, skills by hand. Alright? Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of transformation. It's the sign of death, rebirth. It's the most intense sign in the zodiac. It relates to, of course, sexuality, shared resources, secrets, the occult, so on and so forth. Now, this from here on out, you guys know what signs we have left to cover. Mercury goes under a real transformation here. Mercury is the sign of communication, right? It's very much so a social planet. But in this sign, at this part in Mercury's evolution, he's no longer concerned with pleasing others or very much so interacting, or being the life of the party. This is a completely different shade of Mercury. And we will see this going forth through Sagittarius and the Capricorn. Alright? So, the first thing you need to know is that this is a less social Mercury. Doesn't mean Mercury is not social at all. It's just not the main motive here. I want you to visualize this. Imagine there are 3 books laid out on a table, right? And one of them is the Bible. One of them is Mysteries of the Ancient World. And then the next one is a how-to book. Okay? Which one do you think Mercury and Scorpio will select? There is no right answer. Mercury and Scorpio would select all of these books, but the first pick would probably be Mysteries of the Ancient World or something like that. Alright? Because this is where the intellect is set to discover what lies beneath the surface. So, with this being our intelligence, we very much so enjoy learning, or the Mercury and Scorpio person enjoys learning. However, they want to find the deeper aspects behind what they're learning. They don't want to just scratch the surface. So, with this Mercury, it's a very investigative Mercury. Okay? The Mercury is now here in water, right? And of course, we've been talking about depositorship this whole thing. So Scorpio is one of those signs. Oh, I believe only Pluto rules Scorpio. No, Mars rules Scorpio. They both rule Scorpio. Alright? You will see the influence of both these planets upon your Mercury. Now, most of you, watching this might have, or might be either Pluto and Libra, or, Pluto and Scorpio. Right? And for some of you in that generation, your Mercury might conjunct that Pluto. And if your Mercury conjuncts that Pluto, it gives you, a very good idea of the capabilities of Mercury and Scorpio. The person when it comes to writing, when it comes to their own expressing their intellect, the person has the ability to go deep into the manner of things. Actually become an expert on it. But, like I said, this Mercury is in Gemini. It's not a Mercury in Gemini. Whatever I become an expert at, I want to teach to the world. This Mercury wants to absorb the knowledge and find out, how they can use it for not personal gain, but empowerment. This is what this Mercury... So, the Mercury becomes empowered through its intelligence. Now, back to what I was saying. So, like I said, you can look at your Pluto as a depositor, or you can look at your Mars as a depositor. I think you might get a little bit more out of the Mars, but overall, just pay attention to the aspects that this Mercury is making. Okay, if this Mercury is aspecting Venus, there's going to be a really good understanding about, the dynamics of partnerships, the psychology, of partnerships, of attraction. Okay, if it's an aspect to, I don't even know what aspect I just said, in terms, I don't know if I said harmonious or disharmonious, but wherever Mercury's aspecting is going to synthesize with that planet. Okay, is going to want to dive deeper. So if it's aspecting Mars, it's going to want to know, how can I use my intelligence to get more out of my willpower? Okay, like I said, key thing to keep in mind here is that this Mercury is always holding something back. And it's not that they can't express themselves, it's just that it's the nature of them to, once they get the secret, they kind of want to keep the secret and use it for empowerment. Now, with this Mercury being in water, it increases the intuition. It gives the person somewhat of a logical intuition, but this logic can be flawed. So there's two types of Mercury in Scorpio people. The overly logical or kind of superficial, and the just complete intuitive. The logical Mercury here, Scorpio having to do with sexuality. These are the people that look at you or look at a person and say, I wonder how they are in bed. And they are going to make their assessment, right, based off how this person might look. So, say, you get a person, so say you see, whether it be a dude, like for ladies, you see a dude, he's chiseled, he's brolic, and the Mercury and Scorpio saying to itself, damn, he might work me out. His sex might be amazing, right? Now, looks can be deceiving. That's one thing this Mercury will find. So it's a huge battle that goes on here, right? But a large part of this battle is for Mercury to drop the intellect. So more times than not, this Mercury might be deceived. But like I said, there's a natural sixth sense about it. The intuition has the ability, to become quite powerful if one, has other water placements, and, they can really hone in on how their Mercury works. Because Mercury is, just like with any water sign, is going to go through ups and downs. So this can be a depressive Mercury too. But through that depression, what happens? They discover things about themselves, or they discover things, about the world and personal psychology. So in terms of, career, this Mercury is capable of doing so many things. But like, being a journalist, these are some of the best journalists out there, because they get down to the heart of the matter. As far as writers, these are the people that write in books about, conspiracy books and things of that nature. All right, they're probing, they're digging for secrets. Now, from what I've seen out there with people interacting with Mercury and Scorpio, they just feel like I'm talking to a wall here. But what I always tell them is, like I reiterated earlier, this is not a Mercury that's here to be social. They're in the water. They're going off of how they feel. They want your secrets. And if they're talking too much, they may reveal their own, and they don't want to do that. So the way in which you have to understand with Mercury and Scorpio is that they're probing you. And they're very aware of it. They're probing you. They want you to open up to them. So this is why, they can make excellent psychologists, excellent astrologers, or just healers in general. Depending on where, this ends up, the person can become very occult minded. Now, and mind you, like I said, there's always going to be something that they're hiding. And a large portion of this could be their occult, background that they have. So you can have like you can have, I'm trying to think of somebody really random, a mechanic. You can have a mechanic here, right? With Mercury and Scorpio that is well versed in astrology or tarot. Okay, it doesn't matter. So what you're seeing isn't everything that you're getting. But just like with any Scorpio, the more you penetrate their core, the more, you know, and they feel like you're worthy or you can be trusted, they'll open up. But overall, it's just not a very social, Mercury. But if this, let's say the sun is in Libra, this obviously brightens up the social life and makes the person, you know, intense in communications with others, to be very kind of direct in getting their point across. Okay. Also, you know, this could make a person into things like tantra. Okay, like have a lot of just information about sexuality. Okay, I'm gonna do an episode fully dedicated to this, but from my studies, Mercury himself plays a major role in homosexuality or bisexuality. So here, like I said, like with the perception and the desired nature of this Mercury, depending, you know, on certain alignments, this can produce somebody with a secret sex life, you know, that may be homosexual, that may, you know, be bi-curious, or just had, you know, certain type of experiences. And more than likely, it could be for experimentation, or that can just be how, you know, the Mercury is coming out and expressing itself. Because keep in mind, this is a feminine sign. But I will make an episode regarding all of that. Alright? So, all in all, y'all, Mercury in Scorpio is a great position for using your intelligence to empower yourself. The information that you gain here is not necessarily for to go out there and teach others, right? But more so for your own personal empowerment and just the will to want to have no secrets, discover them. And lastly, one thing I want to mention is that this could be more so Mercury in the 8th, but overall, this person, in the terms of attraction, you know, and working with others, they're very much aware of the finances of others, and they can become, you know, someone who, like a financial advisor, someone who handles other people's money, or inherit money through, you know, a sibling or a family member. Check the aspects, transits, all of that. But guys, this is my interpretation of Mercury and Scorpio. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. Until next time, peace.